Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
A science story, huh?
These NYU scientists, they
felt
really
right.
but I was so
And I just thought, well,
I had figured it out.
it was that golden moment.
Because science was on my side.
Hey everyone, I'm Ben Lilly, and welcome to the Story Collider, where we bring you true personal stories about science. We have some shows coming up in San Francisco at the Rickshaw Stop October 26th, and October 19th we'll be at the Society for Neuroscience Conference in Chicago. StoryCollider.org for more info. This week's story is from Teppei Katori. It was recorded in March 2015 at the Book Club in London.
I'm from Japan, I'm Asian. So because today my story is largely based on my experience in my PhD in America. I was in Chicago last 12 years on my PhD, and then I worked in 5 years, and finally I ended up here. So I came from Japan to America, and finally came to UK. So that's what my story is about. I was in Japan. I'm a pretty okay person. It's not that cool. That's my point. And Japan is it's a very modern country. It's like all crazy shit. They make new laundromat every month, like spinning a little bit faster, or like water is coming out like 6 directions. I mean, I don't get it, but people like this shit. So it's really cool in general. It's very unique, but on the other side, it's too unique. Somehow it's so too different. And because of it's too different, that's kind of cool. But on the other hand, that makes a little bit isolated from the rest of the world. And that's a bit of sad things. So I was a student. I graduated university, and I want to go PhD. And I talked to my uncle. My uncle is super cool guy. I mean, he's maybe dirtier than this dirtiest professor, but he's cool. And things he said always, affect my life. And he said, yeah, Teppei, I think you have to go America. I was like, okay. So I applied university, and I applied all the famous ones, because I don't know any university, so I applied all the famous things, like MIT, Harvard. I was rejected, all of them. But some reason, I was accepted at the Indiana University, which is located in the state of Indiana. It's Midwest. It's good. So I decided to go it. I arrived America. Oh, another thing is, so I'm from Japan. It's a modern country, so we study English. And 8 years is mandatory. Every single person in Japan study English 8 years. 3 years junior high school, 3 years high school, and 2 years in a university. And no one fucking speaks English single word. My nice story is, my English teacher doesn't speak English. So, I mean, there's no hope for me to speak, right? So, but I was accepted. So I flew to America with my suitcase without any place to stay, because I couldn't book any place, because I don't speak English, right? And back then, there's no online booking system, so you have to call it. I tried, actually, and there's no way to communicate. So I flew anyway, with my one-way ticket, of course, right? My book and everything, no place to stay. So I went directly my supervisor's office, because that's the only place I know. And he was shocked, obviously. My supervisor at Indiana University is it's another authentic American, like authentic white dude. He's born in Indiana. He got a PhD at the University of Illinois, and worked a little bit as a price, but came back to Indiana. So basically, Indiana and Illinois, the state next to each other in the lake. You know that lake, right? I mean, Boston and New York and California and something. It's a really this something area. But I was accepted, so that's cool. So I went, yeah, and no place to stay. And I saw my supervisor, and he was shocked. And but once you see it, you can kind of communicate, like, right? So he discovered I have no place to stay, and he booked a dormitory for me, and my life started. So I started my PhD. It was really interesting because, I mean, America, like, never been, right? So it's very exciting. Things are so new. But quickly I found I was really sad because of this interaction and cultural difference mainly. Like, for example, in Japan, laboratory or company, they're family. They're like a mafia, So they eat together, they have a fun together, and everything together. But in America, people have a private. And I didn't get it. What does the private mean? So I work laboratory, right? All friends and everything, and Teppei, see you, like 5 p.m. And I was like, bye, see you tomorrow. Like, I mean, what am I gonna do? It's like 5 p.m. I mean, I have another 9 hours. I'm gonna just stay here 9 hours, just myself. Like, what I go to eat? I mean, just myself. It's kind of sad. And I just realized, I don't have anything to share. The problem is, I'm from Japan. That's the first side. But so Japan is actually bigger than you think, because people think it's small. The reason you think it's small is because you are comparing my country with fucking China, right? It's big. We know that. Or America. Both big country, big land, and so many population. So you think Japan is small, but actually Japan has twice more population than this country. You don't think this way, but actually in country is also bigger, the land is also twice bigger than UK. So it's not that small. So there are a variety of people. Some people like this kind of thing, some people like this. And in general, I say kind of stupid way, but Western culture is not very typical. So when I say Western mean, anything from Europe or America, basically. And only like cool kids, like my sister, into Western music. And I think that's the reason, because my sister liked it. That's why I hate it. So I wasn't the cool kids. So basically, I have a zero knowledge for anything from Western world. Maybe some people went to Japan, so it's a modern country, but if you go Japan walking around, you still see this kind of funny, strange things, like we still have a lot of Western restaurants. And if you walk in a Western restaurant, you can order Western food, like pizza. There's a menu, and there's a pizza. It doesn't matter which pizza or anything, just pizza. And you get pizza, or spaghetti, or curry, And if you go to grocery store, there's a product. It's called cheese. So it's kind of cool, right? If you're from outside, it's kind of cool, and you can take picture, wash your ass in the toilet, that's all amazing. But it's a kind of how different it is. So so I have no understanding for any Western culture, and I found it a problem. So I decided, and also I'm not that smart because I was rejected by our university, but I'm not that stupid because I'm studying PhD for particle physics, right? So I found it a problem, so I have to solve. So I went to a shop to buy all the CDs I know the name, like Sex Pistols, Britney Spears, Beatles, Beyonce, Led Zeppelin. For me, it's all the same because I heard about the name, but I have no idea what they are. But I just bought all CD and listened, because I have a kind of imagination because I never really interacted. I was in, Indiana, Bloomington, 3 years, for PhD, but I had no interaction with some general people, so I have no idea what they're doing after 5 p.m. So it's my own imagination. Maybe they're listening to this kind of music and dancing together, So another important thing I forget. Yeah, I didn't drink. Back then, I didn't drink, which is kind of crazy, I think, now. But I wasn't. So yeah, it's so basically I was sad. Yeah, so I was Japanese, so I work really hard, right? I'm really after 5 p.m. I stay in laboratory until 2 a.m. every day, and 2 a.m. is usually the time most of the pub close in America. And if you go back, by bicycle or car, and you see so many people just came out from the pub and chatting, and oh, they look so fun. I mean, I don't know what they're talking about, but maybe they're talking about Led Zeppelin or, Britney Spears or I don't know. I mean, I was just watching from the side and like this, and so that's how I am. It was in Indiana, Bloomington. But same time, I'm practicing to be a cool kid. And like I said, in my country, only cool kids listen to this music. So I feel like I'm really, I'm really cool. Then after 3 years, so I was in Indiana 3 years. Then I'm doing my research, but my experiment is at the Fermilab, which is near Chicago. So it's a kind of transition for me, and it's a time for me really focusing on my research. So my supervisor said, yeah, you have to live in Chicago so that you can work at Fermilab, and yes, I moved. So that's a kind of big transition for me. And also another transition is because, yeah, I practiced 3 years, so I'm getting more familiar with people. But the first step, I was there, and same way, I was living there, working there, just doing nothing special. Then one day, I was just walking the street, and then the guy spoke to me. Hey! I was really happy, actually, because no one speaks to me, right? And hey, I saw you. You just came out from the house, isn't it? And yeah, I live there. Hey, I live here too. Hey, I'm Mark. Oh, I'm Teppei. That's how I met Mark, which is still my best friend. I never met anybody in this way. Actually, that's another cultural thing, but people only talk, in the school or company, and you go together for the pub in Japan, but you don't really meet people. That's a very unusual thing. And I was a bit surprised, but on the other hand, I was really happy, actually. And through the Mark and all his friends, I'm getting more and more in this culture. My big step was I went to pub. So pub is a kind of center of, okay, let me say another stupid word, but it's a center of kind of white people's culture. We have a pub in Japan, but it's very different style. Some people knew it, but yeah, I never been in a pub, and it was the first time, and I mean, it's okay. It's nothing really special, right? But if you don't know, like me, you only know the person came out really happy talking in the 2 a.m. It's a really special place, and I went to his Mark and his friends, yeah, it's fine, dancing like this, and I had a flatmate, and she's also an awesome person, so we went out, So I'm starting to getting this culture, and I was a much more happy person that time. My work is also great. So I worked in the Fermilab. It was actually a combination of my kind of Japanese things and these new things. Because I still work, so I worked in the Fermilab, but I slept in my office from Monday to Friday. So I only go home on the weekend. Monday to Friday, I have all the food and the clothes and there's a shower. I sleep in my office. No problem for me. I cannot do this anymore. But back then, I was young. So you can stay, and the weekend, I go home, and then there's friends. You hang around. And so that was, I have to say, it's the best time in my life after London. I met lots of new people. I met a band. So I joined the band. By the way, I never played any music before. But they're fun. I just spoke them, and hey, cool. And, and I joined, hey, you're cool, and joined. And we have a tour in the America, whole country. Then there's another, my new things was camping, because I never camped in my life. Especially, it's not just a camping. It's a camping of a music festival, which I never been either. So I did two new things, music festival and camping. That was a really cool experience. Actually, that wasn't quite right. That's what they said, because we are musicians and we are like staying in a VIP area. So there's a whole food and all drink and swimming pool. And my friend said, "Oh, Teppei, yeah, I know it's your first camping, but this is not really true." But that's cool. But like, I still connected this band. It's called Environmental Encroachment from Chicago, and we still tour together when I go home. So I have a band, my friends, and I work in Fermilab, and things are getting better and better. Sometimes I go back to Indiana because my supervisor in Indiana Bloomington, and yeah, now I can go to the pub just myself and just talk with, the people. I used to be really cool. It's just douchebags. But hey, like that, hey, so easy. And it's unbelievable how difficult it was. And if I think now, yeah, it's our practice, because it was difficult back then, but it's getting easy just because I practice. I wanted to be like this, and I tried to be, and I got it. So it's a kind of stupid things, but once you engaged, there's a consequence. So yeah, now I can meet anybody, any place. I don't have to be ashamed. If I see girl in the pub, I was like, like my usual douche move. Oh, yeah. Or like man dance. Some people call man dance, And like, talk with a girl, cute girl, just say hi. And we have a tour with my band. And then one night, I remember, we had some parade in the art festival in Chicago. Yeah, it was Chicago. And there's after party, and and we played music in this after party too. And then I found the cute girl, and then I say, "Hi, how are you?" And that is my wife now over there. Thank you.
That was Teppei Katori. Teppei is an experimental particle physicist and a lecturer at Queen Mary University of London. His major interest is neutrino physics, especially neutrino interaction measurements on nuclear targets and tests of space-time symmetry with neutrinos. He is native Japanese and went to Indiana University for his PhD, then worked as an MIT scientist at Fermilab near Chicago, USA. The Story Collider is produced by me, Brian Wecht, Aaron Barker, Ari Daniel, Christine Gentry, Skylar Bear, and Liz Neely. The podcast is produced by Rose Eveleth. Additional help from Brooke Williams, Lena Groger, and Justin D'Ambrosio. The theme music is by Ghost. Special thanks to Littlefield for hosting the show, and to Culture for being complicated. Thanks for listening.
Say goodbye to your credit card rewards. Greedy corporate mega stores, led by Walmart and Target, are pushing for a law in Congress to take away your hard-earned cash back and travel points to line their pockets. The Durbin-Marshall credit card bill would enact harmful credit card routing mandates that would end credit card rewards as we know it. If you love your credit card rewards, tell your lawmakers, hands off my rewards. Tell them to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill.